Call this meeting to order. Determined that there is a quorum present. Commissioner Wardlaw, Commissioner Vasquez, Commissioner Nettleton, Commissioner Flores, and myself, we have a quorum. If we will just take a minute of silence to honor those individuals that have fallen. Memorial Day was Monday, but I would like to take just a minute, a moment of silence, please. We have it's affected us here. We had Oscar Salcedo, and then we had Raymond Lozano. I know there's a bunch of other people that were affected also, but we just have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. If we'll stand, Commissioner Wardlaw, Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's a lot easier, right, when Gus doesn't do it. We don't have to be rushing. Approving previous minutes.
Move.
Second. Motion, Commissioner Nettleton. Second, Commissioner Flores. All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0 vote. Sandy, if you want to come up, please, for citizens' comments. If you could do it up here, that way it'll pick you up speaking there. Thank you, ma'am.
The reason I'm here is because I read in the paper that there's a meeting here to discuss whether or not we're going to use taxpayer fund money to help support the illegals that are here, all because of the mess that the federal government has caused.
Heavy on the federal government.
Yeah, it sure is. It certainly is. And you know what? I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of our Congress. And I don't know, is Will Hurd here? I heard he was going to be at this meeting.
His staff.
Well, you can tell his staff, and I've called, they don't even answer the phone at this number here. But I did get hold of Austin, and I'm ashamed of them for what they've done to this country. I'm totally ashamed. And it's too bad that it's dumped in our laps, just like all 4 of these states along the Mexican border. Everybody feels sorry for these folks, for some of them, not all of them. But you know what? They put their own children at risk when they do this. And if they have the money and the funds and the ability to get this far, then they certainly have the money and the funds to get themselves where they're going if the government so chooses to release them here, which is a shame. And I don't want any taxpayer money going to that. I don't want it going. We've got people in this county that are poor, that don't have enough to eat, they don't trust their kids. If we've got leftover money, we need to help the citizens that are here. And I'm sorry, there's laws that says that it's against the law to aid and abet or transport. And I don't think that we ought to be doing that. I don't think our money should go there. They should be sent back to Mexico. That's where they came through. And they're supposed to get asylum in the first country they come to, not get to choose. Thank y'all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Judge, what was
Do what?
what was the name?
Sandy Corder.
Thank you.
All good? Item number 6, the resolution of recognition of Oscar Rodriguez for his win in the Texas Class 6A State Championship in the discus at the state track and field meet in Austin. We have a resolution here that I'm going to read. A resolution honoring Del Rio High School senior Oscar Rodriguez for winning the Class 6A State Discus Championship. Whereas the Val Verde County Commissioners Court believes that the accomplishments of our local youth should be honored. And whereas the sports programs that offer guidance, knowledge, and life skills to our local youth should be publicly appreciated. And whereas Val Verde County Commissioners Court recognized the personal sacrifice and dedication necessary for this young man to excel and win the state championship. And whereas the Val Verde County Commissioners Court appreciates those that have worked so hard to accomplish this state championship win. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Commissioners Court of Val Verde County, Texas, that Val Verde County is proud of the guidance shown by this young man's coaches, Marisa Soto, Ramiro Frausto, Luis Esparza, Rick Torres, and David Reese, and by the supports shown by his teammates, Raymond Gonzalez and Sam Pippin, and all the parents and others that gave unselfishly of themselves to help achieve this endeavor. Oscar Rodriguez and his coaches and the entire Del Rio High School track and field team are commended for their efforts in being the first team in nearly 40 years to accomplish a state championship win. Oscar Rodriguez and his team members and coaches are recognized as having excelled, bringing pride to Val Verde County. The Del Rio High School track and field team and the adults that supported them shall have this resolution recorded in the minutes of Val Verde County Commissioners Court so that their achievement may be noted forever in the history of Val Verde County. Thank y'all. If y'all want to come up, coaches, also, any members here that are from Del Rio High School? We'll get this signed and then we'll give it to you and get a picture. Huh? Yes, sir.
He's hanging on to that one.
Folks, if y'all want to come on around and stand in front of us and we'll hand in this, get a picture. Congratulations, coaches. How you doing?
Sonia, get you lined up.
Hi, how are you? Good. You can stand on this side, Coach, so that we'll have, and we have a
Balance it out.
Yeah.
What are you gonna put?
You're gonna put him in the front.
No.
Right here. Can we see Commissioner Nelson? Yes. Okay, good. You're good.
Sonia, they're not at an angle, we're straight across.
Yeah. Yeah, turn it
Yeah, if you'll hold that so I can also see your medal.
There you go.
Commissioner, very nice. Smile pretty.
Tilt it a little bit right there is fine. Perfect.
Okay, get it there.
All right, very good. All right, everybody over here and smile. Count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Awesome, thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Metal's got tooth marks on it, what's his?
Making sure it's gold.
Keep that one.
Oh, yeah. Item 7, present a certificate of appreciation to Judge Louis Owens and the following commissioners: Martin Wardlaw, Precinct 1, Juan Vasquez, Precinct 2, Robert B. Nettleton, Precinct 3, and Gustavo Flores, Precinct 4.
Who's presenting?
It was the Yeah, Mr. Vitella. But she's not here, I think. There we are, right there. Here's another picture.
Another photo.
Good morning.
Morning.
That was nice. Good morning. I am nervous.
So am I.
This is a great moment, and congratulations to that young man who also is representing our city and our county. That's amazing. But today, this morning, good morning, gentlemen. On May 18, we had the Remembrance and Awareness March that took place at the Reed's Country Store, and we had about 45 that participated. The march was for remembering and honoring veterans who have died while in the U.S. Armed Forces. We also had the mental health awareness, and there was a mental health information table while the event took place, and the remembrance table also had pictures and souvenirs of the fallen veterans that family members at march took with them. According to a study done by the Department of Veterans Affairs, states that each day over 20 veterans take their own lives. I personally am aware, I've been with the county, I'm going on 7 years in November, can say that at least 2 in our county, but those are the only ones that I'm aware of. I'm sure there's probably more. On behalf of Mr. Vitella, and he apologizes for not being able to be here, but he had to take off. But on behalf of Mr. Vitella, the veterans officer and staff, and I'm sure that I can speak for most of the veterans, that we appreciate all the support you have provided for the veterans and their family members. We get countless feedback from our local veterans and family members for all the support this office provides. I have received a few calls from Uvalde, Brackett, Kerrville, and even one from San Antonio about the beautiful veterans van that our county provided for us. And this van, it takes veterans to and from their VA appointments. We also, when we invite county veterans officers to our events to see our headquarters, they are very amazed of how much the county supports the veterans. Together, we have made veterans and family members feel that they are welcome here, and how we are grateful for all their sacrifices they made to serve our country. Together, we can find resources for those veterans who come home and need a helping hand. So today, we present you with a certificate and state flag. This certifies that the Texas flag here within, presented to Valverde County by veterans of Valverde County and the Texas House of Representatives. This state flag was flown at the Capitol in Austin on April 19, 2019, in honor of their service to Valverde County veterans, and it was also on the day of Good Friday. Thank you for all you all do for us each day, and we see it in our office every day, how grateful they are.
Would y'all come around and get a picture with us? You don't need a picture.
Sonia, can you line this up?
I don't remember how that works.
I know.
You
should already know.
Let me have the young man presenting the flag to the judge just as he was.
Over there on this side?
Yeah. Yeah, kind of do it on the side though, so we can get the photo.
You'll go right to the finish commissioner.
Right. Right there. On the count of 3.
That's what he gets.
1, 2,
I know.
3. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to make a comment. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all for everything that y'all do. And this court, along with the other court, this court, along with the other court, I think we've done a little bit more than what other courts have done, and I've really been impressed.
That's what we're here
Even
for.
even with Judge Valdez, as county judge last year, the van and all that process was started, so I need to give them a big thank you also. Just a big baby here and might cry. We're gonna go straight to item 19. I know we've got several people in the audience that are here to talk about that. And it's setting, the item is listed as setting aside funds for asylum seekers. I think this will just be a coverall for individuals from different, at Congressman Will Hurd's office. I think we were going to have some people from Border Patrol here also. And then an update as to what has been done. We were delivered, when this thing started a couple of months ago, we received a phone call about two and a half months ago, Sheriff, I believe, they were going to release 150 is the way it started. The 150, they were not released. They were not released in Del Rio or Valverde County. They were released somewhere else. They started bringing in and releasing family units anywhere between 6 and 20, something like that, family units per day. The faith-based organization, they were able to handle that, and basically they were sheltered just long enough to get them out of town. The purpose behind that was not to leave them at Stripes, because that's where they were let out at, was at Stripes, because of the busing there. But the ones that couldn't get out before the last bus was gone, some of the churches took them in and made sure that they had a phone call able to get money, so they were able to leave the next day. And I think May 8th, if I'm not mistaken, was when the bulk started being released. They were released at Stripes. At that point, I'm sure that all of us got text messages and pictures of everybody there at Stripes. The faith-based, this coalition stepped in and opened up a shelter because, again, we couldn't get them out before the evening bus. So the object was to get them somewhere to where they would not be at Stripes and then funnel back into our community. Since then, Greyhound has put on, they had two buses that were going out, but they've gone to the bigger bus, the over 40 passenger bus versus a smaller one. Aguila is doing 3 trips a day out of Del Rio. The problem that I think we're having right now, and I'm sure we'll hear from some of these other individuals, is that when they get released later on in the day, we don't have transportation to get them out of town. And the reason the shelter was set up was to house them overnight, because we didn't want, and I'm going to speak frank here, and if I upset somebody, well, we'll just have to talk about that later. The issue was always that we needed to get them a phone call, and we needed to get them out of Del Rio, out of Valverde County. That was always plain and simple. That was our focus. I know that there's other people that wanted to do more, but our part was, if again, a phone call. I don't think we paid for a single ticket. I think a couple of people might have paid for a ticket just to help, but all these individuals have been able to make a phone call, get their money, to buy a ticket, to get out of Valverde County. I don't know, and it sort of blows I'll try my best not to cuss, but it sort of blows my mind that how this became our problem. We have Border Patrol in the house, and they're doing their job. They get full, they have to do something. So you can't blame the people in the boots that are on the ground. We can't do that. But I think our laws are broke. You can't get everybody in the room to where you can figure out who is not telling the truth. I'm not going to use the word lie, but I think the truth has been stretched. But there has to be something done. We've made comments that maybe we bus them to people's houses, people that are in charge. But we touch this problem every day. Right now, since May 8th, it has been our problem. It's in our laps. And, we're going to have to deal with it. What the court wants to do, we'll need to probably listen to some of these individuals and then some comments. Would you like to come up?
Yes, Judge, if you'll give me the opportunity.
We're waiting for you. We're waiting for you.
So, I know there's my name's Oscar Salinas. Thank you for the opportunity. So I've currently been in charge of the Del Rio station for about a month and a half, since April 1st. Of course, this started a little bit before I got there, and I've experienced this in Presidio, Texas for about 4 years before I came over here. And as some of you might know, the Rio Grande Valley sector has been going through this for 6 years, going on 6 years. So it's not going to be something that's short term. I apologize for giving my back to you all, but it's not something that will end in a day or a week or a couple of months. It's probably going to go for an extended period of time. So I just want to clarify that the only population that we're releasing at this time is family units, vulnerable folks at this time. And I do want to echo what the judge said. We're releasing them to make room for more, because we are getting hit nationwide on the southern border with an increased influx of persons from other countries other than Mexico. But I'm available for any questions at this time.
I'd like to, first of all, I want to commend you and the Border Patrol and Customs and ICE and everybody for the job y'all are doing. Y'all are being inundated with a problem that our federal government chooses to ignore. I watch your agents risking their lives. I watch them taking their own money to help these people. And that is great to know that we have people like that working for y'all's agency. It is amazing to me how hard it is for y'all to do your job with what y'all are being given. But I want to commend y'all for the great job you're doing. Y'all have done a phenomenal job. And I realize that this issue is not y'all's issue. This issue is an issue that Congress and the Senate have, and they need to deal with it. And apparently they choose not to deal with it. And it is putting y'all's lives at risk. It is putting the American people's lives at risk. These people are bringing over diseases. I understand the issue of trying to get out of their countries. I understand what their problems are. But we cannot continue at the rate we are going. Y'all cannot handle it. This country cannot handle it. These communities cannot handle it. And until Congress does its job and fixes this problem, we are going to continue to have this. In my understanding, we're going to hit close to 1 million this year of illegal crossings. I don't know how this country can continue to support it. You know, we just did a deal with the veterans and the money that we worked. That's where we need to be focusing our efforts, on the people who have served this country and done something with it. This problem, and I'm talking to the people in the back in Congressman Hurd's office, y'all have got to do something. This system y'all have up there in Washington is completely inexcusable. You think that these communities deserve what you're giving them? We need to be helping the veterans. Y'all need to fix this problem. And if y'all can't fix it, it's time to get somebody who can.
As a former veteran, or as a veteran, former soldier, U.S. Army and National Guard, and having worked with the Air Force here, I thank you for your comments and for looking out for the veterans as well.
There's no excuse that our veterans should be in the streets starving and committing suicide when we're spending the kind of money we're spending on other things. It is completely inexcusable.
But I do appreciate your comments, your kind words, and the support, and I look forward for continued support in securing our community and our country as well.
Assistant Chief, could you clarify what happens when you detain these asylum seekers? How long can Border Patrol hold on to them?
There's several laws out there, regulations and what have you. We have the Reno, the Flores versus Reno law. So it dictates how many hours we can hold the unaccompanied children. And then for other folks like the families and the asylum seekers and what have you, we're given 20 to 22 days, and then of course we have to start looking for releasing those folks. Unfortunately, the situation right now is that our partners in ERO, their facilities, housing facilities, they are saturated. They're at capacity. Now we are at capacity here at this sector as well, just like the RGB sector and other areas like El Paso, which are getting hit very hard. Yuma, everybody's starting to feel the pinch. Yeah, for a few months already, but we're starting to see the numbers raise. I'm sure that you all are aware that we have several folks on the Mexican side in Acuña waiting to be processed through the port of entry.
And those numbers there, I mean, I keep hearing anywhere from 300 to 800 Cubans.
Right. The last number I heard yesterday was 300, and before that, 2 weeks ago, it used to be 600.
Yeah.
And we've got folks from Africa as well, from Congo, and other nationalities.
And you brought that up,
Venezuela.
when you say Congo,
Congo.
Ebola, do we have a concern?
So there's always a concern for all diseases.
But that was the one that kept being thrown up yesterday.
Yesterday. Okay. So yes, I believe Ebola has been a concern for a while. We have not here at the station seen a case yet. We've seen other cases of chickenpox and lice and scabies and what have you, pink eye and stuff like that. So those are all things that we have to be cautious of as well. And things like that will also hinder our capacity because, of course, we have to decontaminate some of ourselves.
So if Congress would change the asylum laws, we would be able to send them back to their country until they can seek asylum.
So I'm not going to.
Come on,
Oh, I didn't want an answer. I already knew.
I like my job.
But
I already knew the answer.
But I do want to echo that my agents, our agents here at this sector and across the nation, Border Patrol, they do everything they can to save lives. We're over 700% in our rescues for this sector. Our agents are jumping into the water to try and save babies, kids, families.
Well, I mean, in the news, it's like, and again, it's all political. I mean, just one side against the other type deal. I'm not asking you to agree, but, you know, there were some kids that passed away, and we all feel for them. Yes, sir. But in the hospital, also, that were taken to hospital. And they want to blame us and Border Patrol, but by the time y'all got a hold of them, they already had issues. And when they got to the hospital, I mean, if they, you know, at least they were given a little bit, they were given help to be able to try to survive by Border Patrol to get them to a hospital.
Right.
You know, and I think the misconception is that, you know, y'all could have done more, but at the point that you saw them, you rescued them, you took them to the hospital, and then, you know, it just happened.
Right, and I do want to make sure that everybody understands that. By the time we Border Patrol gets them, they've already crossed several countries. A lot of times they've left their country already malnutrition or with diseases. They haven't really gotten medical attention until they turn themselves over to us. And of course, they're being put in harm's way whenever they're put in compartments and packed in trucks or on the train. or crossing the river, which of course presents its own risk, like drowning and what have you, getting separated from families. But it is challenging to get these kids or family groups and in the condition they are already, and some of them without vaccinations at all, right? And we've tried, especially in some of these cases that have happened either in El Paso and RGB, the kids have been taken to the hospital not once but twice or 3 times. Of course, we can only do what we can do. They're released to travel, and we try and get them out of our cells because they're meant for short-term holding, or they're just short-term holding cells, right? They're not there to be housed for days and days on end. So.
Assistant Chief Salinas, what's different about the deportation process with the other than Mexicans than it is with people that come from Mexico? Because that's one of the confusions that people have. They think that they all come from Mexico.
Right. So right now, I believe it's like 65% of the folks that were apprehending our family units, and the majority of those and more are actually people from Central or South America or other countries. So when we get folks from Mexico, it's if they don't have any criminal history or anything like that, it's easy for us to just take them and repatriate them back to their home country. With the Guatemalans, Hondurans, which is the biggest population, we have to, of course, house them, what have you, turn them over to ERO, and then coordinate with their country so we can send them to that country eventually.
And you pay for the transportation costs?
The government pays for the transportation through ERO.
Y'all have anything else? No, Mr. Salinas?
I want to thank you for your job.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the support. I think we had somebody from the coalition that wanted.
Yeah, we've got the coalition, and then we've got Congressman Hurd's office.
Thank you all very much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
the time.
Marty? You want to say a couple of words, and then we'll get into Will Hurd's office. You shouldn't say good. How's it going?
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Good.
So I just want to, first of all, thank you for having us today and hearing what we have to say. Second of all, a big thank you to Border Patrol, because I think that they sometimes get a lot of attention because of the nature of their job. However, in March, they did start reaching out to both city and county, like the emergency meetings, so that we could be planning for what was coming. A lot of other communities have been overwhelmed prior to Del Rio beginning to receive these refugees or asylum seekers, and they gave us the opportunity to be prepared. And what I mean by that is when they came to us the first week of April, they told us that it was possible that we would receive 150 per day in our community, and our numbers have reached that at times. Since May 8th, we have received between 1,300 and 1,500 into our community that we've been able to transition out. When we first started with the coalition, looking at those numbers, 150 per day, our transit system could only get out 65 per day, and that's on a good day. So we had 2 Greyhound buses that could get out 36 passengers if no tickets were purchased in Eagle Pass. So that was quickly going to add up. After 3 days of those type of numbers, that means that we would have had 255 asylum seekers sitting at strikes in our community. After 7 days, that would have left us with 660 in our community with no place to be, with half of those being children. And so we knew that we had to act fast. We worked really hard. The ones that are released do have sponsors, so they have family members that pay for their tickets and for some of their needs. So the coalition is not using any funding to pay for that. I think we've had 2 that needed assistance that we had to help with paying for part of their bus tickets to look like $40 or $50. It wasn't much. Otherwise, their family members are paying for what they're doing. And we have increased the resources in Del Rio. Aguila is actually doing up to 4 vans a day now. Greyhound is going to bring in bigger buses so we can get more out.
And I think
then-
that's already happened, because
That
I've seen the bigger
starts
buses.
Yes,
It starts today.
today's the first day.
Oh, because, I think on Saturday or Sunday, they had bigger buses, and this morning there was one at Stripes.
We've seen them there, but today is actually the new schedule, so they switched from, they switched their schedule, and now that's a guarantee you'll see the big bus.
Okay, all right.
We've been able to get out around 110 to 115. And part of what we're doing, there is a humanitarian component to it, no matter how you look at it. However, there is a protection of our community. So these folks are coming in, and they're not inoculated. Some of the children have fever, they're sick. So we're trying to get treatment for them if we can. We have a small partnership with the hospital. It's not been solidified, but they have assisted with a few people that were very sick through the walk-in clinic. They waived the fees, and they did the treatment. We've reached out to the Department of Health. We've not had a lot of progress there. They're willing to come in and train our staff to make sure that we have infection control going on. When these people come in, they need showers, they need baths. Border Patrol shower facilities do not accommodate children. They're not family shower units, so some of these children haven't bathed in a long time. Things that are going on, part of the reason that some of the flooding is happening with the people coming in is if they get processed in Mexico before they get processed here, Mexican Border Patrol picks them up, they take all of their belongings, all of their money, their cell phones, everything, and then they get dropped at the processing center or at the river.
The conversation we had yesterday also was that you can tell whether the Mexican Border Patrol has seen them because when they get here, they have nothing.
Correct.
And on this side, if they've been caught on this side without Mexican Border Patrol catching them first, they actually have their
Money, cell
belongings.
phones, belongings, stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
so a lot of them that are coming across the river, it is really in self-preservation. They're being dropped there, they have children to feed, they have no money, they have no food, they have no means to do it. So they made it all of this way because they did have resources to get here. With that being said, I do just want to share one other component of how they're getting here. We've talked to these folks, how did you know to come to America? Why did you do that? And they said that there are people going through their villages with megaphones saying, go to America for permiso, is what they say, for permission. And so these people that are flooding our borders and coming in, it isn't necessarily that they are just flooding our borders because they think they can. They're being told that it's okay. So then when they get here and when they're processed by Border Patrol, there's a whole different story, and then they realize that there's laws that don't really allow that. And so just one other statement in defense of Border Patrol, they are following our nation's laws. I don't agree with the laws on immigration and the border and the things that are going on, but they are following the laws, and they're doing their job in upholding our country's laws. So do you have anything? I can talk a lot, so you'll have to just shut me down. We have had so many things that have happened. Yeah, I figured you were, so I'm sorry. So many things that have happened in our community, but this has always been, the coalition initiated with the intention of relieving the burden of the influx of immigrants on the city of Del Rio. We want to work in partnership with the city and the county and law enforcement and Border Patrol to make sure that we keep our city safe. And as you heard from the numbers, if we had gotten 150 a day and there was no coalition to transition these folks or to help them reach out to their family members who have the money to pay their way, then within 7 days of 150 being released, we'd have 660 people standing outside the stripes. That's huge.
No, and then I think when it started, I'm sorry. When we started, that Saturday and Sunday, it was like everybody was scrambling because they got dropped off. And it was like, now what the heck are we going to do? Because ready or not ready, here it is, and they were dropped off at Stripes. And, you know, the pictures that I was getting that Saturday and Sunday were, I mean, people were upset because the people that were dropped off were leaving. They didn't know what to do, you know, so they couldn't buy a ticket because it was later on in the afternoon. And I think y'all stepped in, and therefore we sort of, and I hate saying it, but we sort of put them in an area that we could sort of look at them and take care of them. That way they could get transitioned, get their phone calls, and get out.
Right, and they are, for the humanitarian component coming to that, this is a very vulnerable population. They came here, just some people with megaphones telling them that it was okay. And then they got here, they're dropped off at Stripes, they'll give them a car with anybody. I mean, if you come and say, hey, let's go, there's a lot of human trafficking happening with the children in the Mexico side as well as in the United States.
And then the other deal was yesterday when we were visiting with Health Department in Texas, STAR, right? I mean, it's one of those deals that we asked if we could get help because they're being screened at Border Patrol if you show symptoms for something.
Mhm.
But those that are in that incubation period, they're not getting tested, so we don't know what they're releasing.
Right.
So we asked if we could get some type of screening before, just to get a better handle on what you're putting out to everybody. And the state said no.
But you know, what happens here is, it kind of highlights the problems in the community, because you talk about transportation problems. We have transportation problems. The community does, because there are people that can't get out of Del Rio because of the bus schedule. If there's an emergency, or they want to see a family member in San Antonio, they can't get out of town. And then with the medical care, in terms of people criticizing the government for the medical care that many of these people receive, they're receiving the same medical care that the community receives. So if you're in a small jurisdiction in the small towns, they're going to get the medical care that the residents there receive, and it's not always the best. And so, every time that we have a problem, it highlights the surrounding problems. And I think, that, you know, that's what we should take to, that our community is lacking. And you talk about the homeless and whatever, we're talking about that now when we didn't before.
Well, and the hospital, I mean, they're doing the best they can do. I mean, as far as the bus, I mean, I'm going to disagree with you. I mean, if we didn't have the 150 people, we wouldn't need a bigger bus. And when you go down to Stripes, the schedule that they have, you know, they put on the smaller buses because there wasn't tickets being bought. You know, and we can go through this and we can go argue back and forth. Thank you so much. Do you have any?
I want to commend y'all for your work. I think I understand, you know, the issue, and it's great that y'all have stepped up and are working on it. You know, it amazes me that when we have a humanitarian crisis anywhere else in the world, our federal government can step up and do something about it. But when we have one in our own country, they could care less. But it's nice to know that we have people that are willing to step up and do what they can and risk their own health in order to do it. And I appreciate y'all doing that. Thank you.
I have one other thing I'd like to say.
Real quick, Sandy, one of the deals that you brought up, not to use taxpayer dollars, and I can address it now, we couldn't address it when you spoke earlier. I think part of the issue, I can't speak for the other members here of the court, but I personally don't want these people, and I don't know how to say this without being mean, but I personally don't want them out in my community. So we have to do something else, and you know, if we were to use funds, taxpayer funds, just to make sure that maybe you sleep a little bit easier at night knowing that we didn't turn loose 700 and some odd people. I'm not saying they're all bad, I'm not saying they're all good, but we've got a problem and it's been dropped in our lap. You know, and I don't understand, you know, it just sort of blows my mind because it's not a city, it's not a county, it's not a state law, it's a federal laws that are broken. You know, they need to do something with that. But as a court, we're going to have to come to a decision in a little bit or sometime today. What is it that we're going to do? Because I personally don't want these people out of my community. And it's that simple. You know, I'm not throwing rocks at them. I just don't want them here. You know, in a couple of meetings that we went to, you know, I sort of said stuff a little bit stronger, but you know, now it's being recorded. But again, it is a serious problem. It has been dropped off in our laps. We're going to have to figure out a way to deal with it. One of the concerns was Border Patrol. If we didn't have the coalition, would they have continued to drop them off here without the coalition? And I think the answer to that, and speaking to Mr. Salinas and everybody else, we got the answer on Saturday and Sunday because we didn't have nothing set up. They dropped them off. And now y'all were, you know, fumbling and trying to figure out, let's get them off the street, right? So, and that happened, but they'd already told us for a month and a half before that they were going to start to drop off 150 a day. It was going to come to that. And we sort of dodged the bullet a little bit because they were sending them to Eagle Pass and the other way. One of the concerns that we had yesterday was, you know, I think they can truck 8 hours. I think they can bus 8 hours. Border Patrol can't. You know, I mean, we need to get them, if they can, get them to San Antonio where their infrastructure is better suited and they have You know, and not only that, you have more charities up there, Catholic charities and more faith that are willing to help.
Part of the reason that they've been unavailable to do that is because there are so many people coming through sick. When they go to the hospital and they're in custody, Border Patrol has to stay there. 30 to 40% of their workforce is tied up at all times in the hospitals. So they have a lack of manpower because they are having to stay at the hospitals with these individuals that are in their care. So it makes it harder for them to transport these longer drives because they don't have the manpower to do it, because they need to be on the border picking up the ones that aren't asylum seekers, that are criminals coming across. And so that's part of it. The other last thing I wanted to say is that as far as funding goes, we have reached out to other communities. We have volunteers that are running the center for free. I mean, there was no payment for anybody, and since the beginning of April till now, we are at approximately $175,000 in leveraged funds that this coalition has been able to bring into our community in the form of food, resources, and volunteer hours to help do this transitioning. And so we are also actively seeking grants from faith communities in different areas to help continue to relieve that burden on the city and county of Del Rio.
And then we have Salvation Army is going to be here 2 more weeks, 3 more weeks,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to have to figure out something in order to feed these people if we can't get them out of our town.
We need some long-term solutions. We don't have anything long-term.
And I think
So-
one day y'all had paid to serve 300, one of the days, just that amount of the influx.
I have the numbers.
And I think if we could get, I think transportation is going to be needed. I think with the big buses, and if we could get with Border Patrol, you know, and I know we're putting a burden on them, maybe not release them as late, you know, so we can get them out, because we need to get them to San Antonio, and there's people that will help them in San Antonio, but just till 10 o'clock, which is, you know, so
Absolutely. And I
we
think
thank y'all.
their processing, it makes it a little bit more difficult, but they have to release them in the evening because of the lack of manpower. They're doing it as fast as they can.
And you know, the problem is we're trying to resolve our issues, but we're sending them to another community that has to deal with those issues. And there's a point out there where these other communities can no longer afford to, or have the ability to, or whatever. So, I mean, this isn't just a Del Rio problem. This is a nationwide problem that we need to deal with, because everybody is being affected by this one way or the other.
And again, as you pointed out, it should not be our problem. It should not be.
No, it should not be our problem.
Thank y'all so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can we talk
Ms.
about
Gutierrez?
bridge traffic?
Huh? Ms. Gutierrez? Y'all want to come up? Did you have, was this chief of staff? There we go.
Good morning,
Morning,
Judge,
how we doing?
Commissioner, Court. We've been working this issue, as you know, I met with you, I've been meeting with the mayor, meeting with all the different entities to find out exactly what is going on and how our office might be able to help. Today, I have a chief of, from our Washington office, Will Hurt's Chief of Staff, John Byers, and he'll shed some light on some of the work that we've been doing.
Thank you, Carmen. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for welcoming me here this morning. I'm John Byers. I'm Chief of Staff to Congressman Hurd, based in his Washington office. I came down here yesterday to get to know everybody here, to meet people, to put a face to a name, to listen to some of the concerns of those here in attendance today. And I share the frustration of many in the room about this situation. And that's why I wanted to come down here and see it for myself, to get to know the community and to understand the problem. But this problem may be new to me. I started on the job 6 months ago, but it's most definitely not new to Congressman Hurd. As you may know, Congressman Hurd has been involved in this issue for a long time. We've had some successes and we've had some frustrations with the partisan gridlock in Washington. Congressman Hurd is one of 435 legislators in the House. Then you have 100 senators. And then, of course, whatever needs to be signed into law has to be signed into law by the president. It's tough to get consensus. You may recall last year, Congressman Hurd led an effort to form a bipartisan bill that would have not only addressed elements of the border and more immigration judges, but also had a permanent solution for DACA. We came this close to having the number of required signatures to force that onto the floor of the House. At the time, the House chamber was controlled by Republicans. They let us down. Now this time around, the House chamber is controlled by the Democrats, and we feel like they're letting us down. We've had countless proposals that have been put out between the government shutdown back in the beginning of the year throughout the spring, and it is frustrating to seem like we're at times spinning our wheels, but we are trying our best to address the issues that are critical to this locality. I'll rattle off some off the top of my head. We're working on the Stone Garden funds to help with the local law enforcement for hiring. We are taking very seriously this issue of requiring a federal reimbursement for localities that are shelling out considerable funds when it comes to the migrant crisis. We're continuing to work on the ports of entry issue. Just in the last few years, we've supported over $1 billion in...
It sounds more like a campaign rally.
Sorry?
It sounds more like a campaign rally to me.
I'm just updating, and I'm happy to take questions
Yeah, I
from
mean,
the commission.
and I'll say this like I probably shouldn't, but don't piss on me and tell me it's raining. Because the congressman has voted against the wall. The congressman has voted against the president being able to build a wall. Stone Garden money is going to come no matter what. This crisis is a crisis created in Washington by our Congress and our Senate. Period. It's not a Border Patrol issue. It's not a Valverde County issue. It's not a City of Del Rio issue. It's not anybody else's issue except y'all's. And y'all have dumped it in our lap, and sending us a little money with Stone Garden is not going to fix this problem. Until y'all do your job up there and fix it, we're going to continue to have this. I can listen to speeches all day long about what we've done. That's not fixing this problem. We still have the problem. And every community in this district has it, and every community in this state has it, and every community in this country has it. We had no problem going and building a wall in Syria. We had no problem going over there in their crisis and refugee to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to set up to deal with their refugee crisis. And we can't do anything for our own people. We got veterans in trouble. We got everything else going on. And you're going to fly down here from Washington with taxpayers' money and to give me a list of stuff that you've done? I want to know what you're going to do to fix it. Not continue where we're at. This is ridiculous and inexcusable.
Mr. Byron?
Happy to.
I've got a question. What would happen if the coalition did nothing? If nothing was done? Del Rio would be overrun. The people would be screaming. How would Congress react? 'Cause I mean screaming. And there'd be killing, there'd be shooting, because they're all over town right now breaking into houses, and everybody's backyard, everybody's garage has these immigrants, because nothing's keeping them at Stripes or wherever it is. What would happen?
Well, I certainly hope it doesn't come to that,
Well,
and that's why
I'm saying,
we're working with our colleagues to address this problem. I'll start with the comment about the border wall. We have supported billions of dollars in border security funds, and I think that you've sort of seen the rhetoric from a year ago versus today. I think that the president is, instead of talking about a 30-foot wall, I think there's been consensus on utilizing smart technology and other methods. You don't need a 30-foot wall from inch to inch across the southern border.
Okay, why is this Valverde County's problem? Why is this being thrown on us? In our lap. People in my precinct can't afford to fund this. My precinct is very poor, cannot afford to spend their tax dollars to take care of the situation.
I completely agree, and that's why we're working for the federal reimbursement.
And excuse me,
Well,
but why are you asking to open the other port?
Ma'am,
Excuse me.
let's just wait a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. And I don't mean to be rude, but
That's okay.
if not, we're going to get chaos and it's just going to take off. We can listen all day long. But what is the fix? I mean, until if we continue to allow these people to come across, and they're not even OTMs, they're other than
That's what they are.
right? Yeah, they are OTMs, right? What do we do? I mean, there has to be a solution. I mean, there has to be some give and take up there, or it needs to be figured out. Again, how in the hell did it become my problem? How did it become our problem?
Thank you, Judge, and
real quick, I mean, you got to stop it. I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't know what the rest of them feel like, but, and we're not the ones gonna make the decision. But again, I mean, we can't take care of our own, but we're asked to take care of somebody else's problem. I mean, it's just unrealistic, you know, and I can guarantee you, these volunteers and everything, they're fixing to hit a wall. They are gonna come to a point that they're gonna throw their hands up, and like what he said, then what are we gonna do? You know, I mean, and again, you come down here, you give us the stuff, you know, give us information, but what is the plan? What are we working towards? That's what I've not heard, you know, and I spoke with Congressman Hurd, you know, for about an hour on Friday. But what's the plan? I mean, you know, everything else that's gone on before, well, okay. But what are we gonna do now? Because this is the problem. Now, what are you gonna do about our problem?
Mr. Byers, just correct me if I'm wrong, but this problem has existed for a long time. We've had the caravans, we've had the OTMs, we've had the notices to appear. So it's been going on for a really long time throughout different administrations. This isn't a problem that's new. It's just the number of people, the explosion of the number of people that have changed it. So I appreciate that we can blame Congress and the Senate and have you come here to tell us what we're going to do, but then not let you tell us what you're going to do. This problem's been around a really long time. And so as it grew, just like with everything in government, as it grew, the solutions didn't grow with it. And until people start screaming and yelling that this is a problem, nobody's going to listen. Nobody listened before when other communities...
And that's where we're at, with the screaming and hollering.
But this has been going on in the valley for a long, long time. You know, so...
But Ms. Smith, and I agree with you.
Finish, please.
Oh, but you interrupt. You started to throw rocks at us a little bit that, you know, we're not letting them finish. You know, I don't want to get an argument
I
with you.
didn't interrupt.
But,
I waited until you finished.
but you weren't recognized to speak. You know, we're going to have some type of order here. You know, we're all holding back. All of us. You know, so, but again, what's the fix? You know, there has to be, if you would tell us, look, we're going to do this, we're going to try to do this. One of the conversations, you know, Ms. Gutierrez, that we had was that, what's the plan? You know, well, if we do something and we send it to Pelosi's place, they're not going to sign it, but hell, we ain't sent anything. Right? I mean, that's, you know, at least do what y'all can do, and if somebody else drops the ball, that's fine. But do your job.
Do something.
Judge, you know, I'm sorry.
I'd like to say something. You know, by what I've heard, to me, there's no plan out there at Washington level. I mean, the system's broken, period. I mean, we're not getting no help from nobody. State level or Washington level, and y'all just come out here and give us all kind of excuses, but some things get done. Very quick.
Judge, am I recognized?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Please.
Thank you very much. And part of the reason I wanted to come here was to hear it and see it firsthand. And I'm genuine in my interest and my willingness to hear from everybody and to take back this feedback to not only Congress at large, but Mr. Hurd, of course, sits on the Appropriations Committee as of January as we make these decisions through funding of DHS or CBP or ICE. To your comment, County Attorney, yes, the problem has existed for a long time, and perhaps the gentleman from CBP can correct me if I'm wrong, but 10 or 15 years ago, there was about 1 million apprehensions at the border. I think about maybe 80 to 90% of them at the time were Mexican men over the age of 18. The laws were different as such, where deportation was easier, getting out of the country was easier. Today, 80% of apprehensions are women and children, and so our laws are such that it makes it much more complicated to deal with this problem expeditiously. Which brings me to my final point, which is yes, we are going to do our best to change these asylum laws. Congressman Hurd is talking to Congresswoman Xochitl Torres Small from New Mexico, trying to build a bipartisan coalition I don't mean to sound like I'm just making political statements, but that would need to pass a chamber controlled by the Democrats and pass the Senate controlled by the Republicans and signed into law by the President, who of course has his own strong opinions on immigration. So consensus is difficult. But I'm here to listen, I'm here to learn, and I will be here for the rest of the meeting, and anyone who wishes to speak to me.
How do we get a hold of you?
I have my business cards. I can recite my information
If you'll
for
give
the
us all the
record.
business card, because I'm sure you'll get phone calls during
Yes,
the day.
County Judge, thank you.
Judge, can I say a word?
Yes, sir.
It's gotta get worse before it gets better. Every person in this room can defend their home, and will. And it'll happen. But until it gets worse, the Congress, they're gonna roll along like that. Tell your congressman and the rest of them that it needs to get worse. And they'll be screaming, and it'll be a bad situation to deal with.
Well, what you were saying, that it's difficult to get these things passed, and we all stand up and scream about politics, but it is politics. And like you said, at first it was the Republicans, and now it's the Democrats, and we get to the extremes where we can't meet in the middle. It is politics. So if we want to change it, we need to do something about it, make noise, vote the way we do, have people come and listen, our representative come and listen to what our concerns are, and take them back to Washington. So I appreciate that you're here.
I totally agree with you, Counselor. It is politics. But for the last several years, the Republicans have held the House, the Senate, and the White House. And nothing got done. I understand your gridlock today. But that's only happened since January. This problem's been going on a long time. And the Republicans held control of every single chamber in Washington. And absolutely nothing got done. And I'm a Republican, and I can tell you, it is a disgrace.
No, thank you, Judge and Commissioners. I'll be available for the rest of the meeting.
If you'll just please make sure that we get your card.
Sure, I can recite it for the record if it's helpful. My email address, my government email address is my first name, John.
Do you have a card?
I do have back on my seat, yes.
Okay, if you don't mind, get it.
Okay.
If you don't mind. Yeah, because we're gonna try to write it down, and if I miss a dot or something, then it's not gonna get to you.
But he was reciting it for the record. Oh.
Well, he can. I just want the card.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you want to recite it for the record, you can. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, John.
Now, why don't you recite it for the record? That way the public has it.
New Jersey, this is Texas. Hey, in Texas,
You'll put it in the
we
paper.
protect our property.
Email address is my first name, which is spelled John, dot my last name, which is spelled B as in boy, Y as in yellow, E as in elephant, R as in red, S as in Sam. That's John.Byers at mail, M-A-I-L, .house, H-O-U-S-E, .gov.
Thank you.
Office telephone number in Washington is 202-225-4511. And of course, I'm joined today by my colleague Carmen, who staffs our office here. And I know sometimes she may be unavailable, but if the phone's not being picked up, it's because she's at an event like this. So thank you.
And I want to apologize. It's not personal against you.
I share your frustration,
Okay.
Commissioner.
It's not personal against you.
Thank you for the time.
We were on item 19. If y'all want to table this, I'd like to talk about executive session and then bring it back.
Motion to table.
Second. Have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second, Commissioner Flores. All those in favor? 5-0 vote. Let's take a little 10-minute break, please. We're going to recess, take a 10-minute break. I got a headache. 10:14, I think. It is. Call this meeting back to order.
I thought we were going into executive session.
No.
Okay.
Let's go through this. Let's get some of these people going. Hey, do we have Jose Guerrero here?
No.
No. Let's get number 8. We had a vacant, or not us, but they wanted us to turn in a name for the Valverde County Appraisal District. Does anybody have a name that they would like to turn in? A couple people that I asked don't want nothing to do with it.
Can we appoint elected officials from this court or not?
We can't. You wanna be it?
No, I don't want to be it, but
You can't
We
have,
had that conversation before, I thought it was. When we had that conversation,
thought-
like in 2011, 2012. Are you sure?
the court,
A member of the court, yeah. Yeah, I didn't think there was anything that would disallow it. I mean, we spoke with Sheedy, I think it was 2011, 2012.
I thought
we did all
Diana
that.
Salgado used to sit on it when she was on the city
And
council.
so does Mesa. Mesa sits on it. He's an elected official.
no, but he's with the school board.
Who'd you want to appoint? I don't
I
want
don't
to. I don't want to. Give it to one.
Could we table this to the next meeting?
If you want to table it, is that a motion?
I'll tell you what.
We have 45 days to get the name, and she gave you a deadline, Ms. Sheedy did.
Do I have it?
I saw it on something that Yulisa had.
Yeah.
You have a deadline to get the name in.
It's in June? Is it after the 12th?
She's looking.
Let's table this, we'll come back, then we'll figure it out. Motion table by Commissioner Wardlaw, second Commissioner Nettleton, all those in favor?
Aye.
5-0 vote. Subdivision plats? None.
No certificate of compliance.
Approving certificate of compliance? None. Approving monthly reports from elected officials?
Move.
Motion Commissioner Nettleton, seconded by second Commissioner Vasquez, all those in favor?
Aye.
5-0 vote. Approving bills for payment?
Move. Second.
Motion Commissioner Wardlaw, second Commissioner Nettleton, all those in favor?
Aye.
5-0 vote. Item 14. Enter an order pursuant to 34.05 parentheses I of the Texas Property Tax Code to the successful bidder through the sealed bid process of certain property previously struck off pursuant to 34.01 parentheses C of the Texas Property Tax Code for delinquent ad valorem taxes owed to Valverde County, San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District, and/or City of Del Rio. A, bid on property held in trust by Valverde County trustee, cause number 33271, Valverde County, versus Zavala. Account number 28440, parentheses 6020-0810-0090, you gotta make these shorter. Lot 9, Block 81, Blum addition to the City of Del Rio, situated in Valverde County, Texas, according to the deed thereof recorded in volume 634, page 350 to 351 of the deed of records of Valverde County, Texas.
I can read them each one, Judge, when I introduce each one, that's not a problem.
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay.
You're good. You should have told me that before.
The first property, again, went through the tax sale process. We had it set for sale on February 5th, 2019. The starting bid at that time was $30,950.66. We received no bid. The current appraised value is $62,260. The bidder is requesting a bid amount of $7,000. They will also have to be responsible for the 2018 taxes of $1,800.
This is located,
I have a map attached, a plat map, and I mean the house is a nice structure.
is there another way to auction these to get more interest, or?
What I've done previously is I come to you with a list for a lesser amount that gets approved, I put it on the steps for the lesser amount. So instead, let's say for instance, this one is struck off around is $30,000. Let's say we knock off additional $10,000, and we reapprove it for selling for maybe $25,000 start off bid. If I get approval, then I can set up a public sale for that starting bid amount.
Okay, but it's valued at 62 and it's got a minimum bid of 30. How did we get to it?
The $30,150 is based upon the taxes that were due at the time. So for the
That's how much is owed on the
That's total
property.
owed under the judgment. That included, if you look under the box that says judgment amount, going down, it tells you exactly what was included in that amount.
So then if they buy it for 7, they're only gonna be responsible for the 7 plus
2018.
2018, and we
1800.
lose the rest of it.
Yeah, the rest gets washed. It gets zeroed out, They get it, like, it was brand new off on the tax roll, but it gets off being tax exempt.
No, I understand that. That seems
But again, I
like-
can put the list together, get approval for a lesser amount, we'll decide what our minimum bid will be. Once I get approval, I can send for a public sale,
We do a public auction.
yeah, public auction, and get competitive.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like a big difference in
Oh, I
money.
Make a motion to go to
Yeah,
public.
motion to go to public.
Have a motion on A, public auction, Commissioner Nettleton. Second, Commissioner Vasquez. All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0 vote.
Okay, the next property, we have, 3 bids on this property. It's cause number 33434, Valverde County et al. versus Virgin Damage et al. Lots 3 and 4, Block 3, Range 4, North Del Rio, in addition to City of Del Rio, Valverde County. According to the probate filing cause 1098, volume 18, pages 307, 355. Probate records in Valverde County, tax account 24856. This sale was held February 5th, 2019. The minimum bid at that time was $25,890.17. The current appraised value is $29,290. I have 3 bids. 2 bids for $15,000 and the highest bid for $20,000.
Make a motion to approve.
The 20,000?
Yes.
Second. Motion to approve the 20,000, Commissioner Nettleton. Second, Commissioner Flores. All those in favor? 5-0 vote. Item C.
Next property, there's only 1 bid. Cause number 28012, Valverde County et al. versus Lake Amistad Properties, Inc. It's a 14.49 acre tract of land, more or less being part of Tract 5 of the Lake Amistad Commercial Subdivision, Unit 1, situated in Valverde County, according to the deed thereof, recorded in volume 258, page 127 of the deed records, Valverde County, account number 359852. Tax sale was February 6, 2018. The starting bid was $71,151.82. The current appraised value is $263,230. The bid amount is $11,000.
Go out.
Motion to, go out for public auction.
Have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton. Second, Commissioner Flores. All those in favor? 5-0 vote.
I'll give you 11-9 for it.
Next one. Cause number 29485, Valverde County et al. versus Saul Sanchez, Lot 11, Block NAB1 of the Senagas Terrace Edition in the City of Del Rio, situated in Valverde County, Texas, according to the deed thereof, recorded in volume 895, pages 225 and 226 of deed records of Valverde County, account number 34141. The tax sale was on July 3rd, 2018. The minimum bid amount was $25,837.65. The current value it went up from $86,690 to $97,670. The bid amount is $9,837.65. Now the bidder, if successful, will still have to pay the post-judgment taxes for 2017 and 18 of $4,000 approximately.
A lot of difference.
Motion to go out for public auction.
For motion, Commissioner Nettleton. Second, Commissioner Vasquez. All those in favor? 5-0 vote. Item E.
Last property, cause number 33257, Valverde County et al. Versus Enenitia Torres et al., Lot 38, Block F, Summer Haven Trailer Park. In addition to the City of Del Rio, Valverde County, Texas, according to the deed recorded in volume 685, pages 899, 900. Deed records Valverde County, Texas, account number 37728. The tax sale was held February 5th, 2019. Struck off amount was $8,395.56. The current appraised value is $11,090. Amount of the bid is $2,500. This is land only.
Make a motion, public auction.
Okay. Have a motion, Commissioner Wardlaw. Second, Commissioner Nettleton. All those in favor? 5-0 vote. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And, for the public auction, what I'll do is I'll put a list together, what the minimum bid was and what the proposed bid amount. Bring it to you guys. We can change numbers, mix numbers, and then what's approved, we can set the public auction.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Item 15, resolution authorizing submission of the Texas CDBG Fast Fund Grant application for fire truck and air packs to the Texas Department of Agriculture. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, everybody.
This is an opportunity that Valverde County can apply to the Texas Department of Agriculture. We've been in close coordination with Mr. Russ, Fire Department out there, and also with TDA. And the application consists of one large brush fire truck and 2 air packs. The total amount of the request, Texas CDBG funds, is $256,349. And Mr. Russ got a recent quote for the large brush fire truck in the amount of $212,860. The 2 air packs that would come with the truck be $13,509, $35,000 worth of contract administration, and the county would have a $5,000 match.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton. Second. Commissioner Flores. All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0 vote. Item 16, interlocal agreement with the City of Del Rio to be their designated representative as it relates to septic systems. We were their designated representative and have been.
Do you have a license to DR? Yes. The wording's gonna have to change, I think there's gonna have to be some changes on the wording, but we have it in there.
No. We need to relook at the whole interlock.
Okay.
So there's gonna be no approval of this interlock.
Okay, so we need to go back and look at, we'll bring it back?
Yes, please.
Motion to table.
Motion to table.
A motion to table, Commissioner Nettleton, second. Commissioner Vasquez, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. 5-0 vote. Item 17, hiring of a county planner, health inspector, and set salary.
I'll make a motion to offer the job to Lizette Vasquez at a salary of $60,000 with the understanding that she has 1 year to get her engineering license.
Second. Have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second, Commissioner Flores. All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0 vote.
Commissioner Nettleton, could you give the name again?
Lizette.
Lizeth.
Lizeth.
Oh, Lizette. And what was the last name?
Vasquez.
It's
Lizette.
At 60,000, right?
That's 60,000 with 1 year to get her license for engineering, her PE license.
We good, Ms. Cromwell?
Yes.
Okay.
18, we put this on the agenda a couple of times. Leases of fairgrounds for events primarily using motor vehicles. The court tabled it, and we had some comments last week that people were against it.
And what does the court want to do?
I'd like to make a motion that from now on out, motor vehicle events would be prohibited.
A motion, Commissioner Wardlaw, seconded, if there is a second. Is there a second?
I'm gonna go in a second, just so we can talk about it. You don't mind?
I'll second it, just for discussion, and we'll come back.
My issue is the fairgrounds is for the whole entire community. There's a lot of people that show up to these other events, and they deserve the right to use this facility. The fairgrounds is not just for a rodeo, it is for the entire community. So I think we have to come up with I understand the issue with having it there where they do the actual rodeos. Maybe we need to look at a different location on the fairgrounds to be able to hold these and make sure they don't interfere with other events that are going on, but we have to open this thing up for everybody's use. That's just
the mud racing's over here at the
on the side.
So it's not in the arena. So I don't think we'd have a problem with that. And just to make sure that the days, and those days have to come back to the court. But this last time it was going to be the day that the fourth was going to have theirs, and we wouldn't have it then.
Yeah.
I'll remove my second. Anybody have a motion?
I'll make a motion to allow, but to make sure that the schedules match, where there's not other events going on when these motor vehicle things are happening, and for Edgar to bring back a plan maybe for the monster trucks to have a different location.
Second. Have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second, Commissioner Flores. All those in favor?
Aye.
Four, I guess.
Against.
Against. Commissioner Wardlaw was against, 4-1 vote.
Judge, did Commissioner Wardlaw's motion die for lack of a second?
Yes.
He made a second, then removed his second.
Is that okay?
Carry on.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 20, hot funds for District 35 baseball and softball tournament in the amount of $3,775. The funds we have.
Motion to approve.
Motion, Commissioner Nettleton. Second, Commissioner Flores. All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0 vote. Mr. McCray, you got the money, so you're good.
Thank you, sir.
The court. Term of appointment of Justice of the Peace Precinct 1, Roberto Castillo. I visited with Mr. Ramon, and the term, as best we could come up with, would be until the last day in December 2020. If an individual is seeking his term, would be seeking his term for the remainder of the unexpired term, then they would have to run in the primary in 2020 and then run in the general election in 2020.
Need action.
I'll make that in form of a motion.
Second.
Is that okay? Have a motion, Judge, second, Commissioner Nettleton. All those in favor?
What's the motion?
5-0 vote.
Motion is
The motion to, that his term will be until the last day of December 2020. And then anybody that is willing, that is going to want to fill the unexpired term would have to run in the primary in 2020 and in the general election in 2020. So we'll have 2 elections.
So the motion is you're calling for an election in 2020?
No, it'll be the regular.
It'll be the regular election. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Is that good?
Yes, no?
That work?
You don't, what you're saying is correct.
Mhm.
You don't need a motion to do that. That's what the statute
You don't need a
calls for.
motion then for the election, but you'll need a motion for his term.
No, we don't need a motion for his term either. It's dictated already.
Okay.
What he can.
Well, let me do this. Let me make a motion for his term. That way it's clear what he's doing.
Okay.
And the election will just be set.
Just call it a general election. Not-
Run it to general.
Mhm.
All right, second
What's
accept.
the date of that election?
It'll be the normal election cycle in 2020, which the primaries in March and the generals in November.
All those in favor?
All right.
5-0 vote. Thank you, ma'am. Both ma'ams. Item 22, authorize county judge and/or, you know what? And/or county commissioner to start process to purchase properties. We can table this and bring it back after executive session. Motion to table.
Second.
A motion, Commissioner Flores, second, Commissioner Nettleton. All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0 vote. Item 23, approval on an amendment and restated contract for the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs Colonial Services Health Service Program Contract 721-7013, County of Val Verde, Texas, Amendment Number 1. And there was just a word that they
Motion to approve.
Second. I have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second, Commissioner Vasquez. All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0 vote. Presenting monthly treasury report, no need. Item 25, presenting monthly county auditor's report.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning.
Board members.
Real quick, did you have to go to a bowling tournament? I'm sorry.
That was good, man.
I'm sorry.
I didn't get invited.
That was worth
Judicial.
it. Is there any questions?
Motion to approve.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second, Commissioner Vasquez. All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0 vote. Item 26, IAW Texas Local Government Code Section 111.0106 and 111.0107, Revenue Certification, create special budget 4. Plain Market LLP in the amount of $9,435.79, and City of Del Rio in the amount of $45,000. The one for $45,000 is actually the money coming in for the shelter.
It is correct. We just want to set a budget up for that, and we're going to receive the revenue in, and we're going to raise the appropriations in our line item for
And the
the
other?
shelter, correct?
The other one is what?
The other one, this was apparently a grant from maybe a couple years ago that finally came in. I believe this was some bunker gear
Oh, okay.
that the fire chief applied for.
Oh, well.
So we can receipt that in, and we'll just raise appropriations on there and let.
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Vasquez. All those in favor? 5-0 vote. Precinct 2, budget adjustment, $20,000 from paving to operating.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion, Commissioner Flores. Second, Commissioner Nettleton. All those in favor? 5-0 vote. Precinct 4, budget adjustment, $25,000 from paving to travel and training.
Motion to approve.
2,500, I'm sorry.
You gave the first.
We're gonna move 25.
He was gonna move 25 grand.
I'm sorry, I stand corrected, it's 2,500. Have a motion, Commissioner Flores, second, Commissioner Nettleton, all those in favor? 5-0 vote.
And Judge, if you don't mind, if we can do item 47?
The credit card?
47.
47.
47. Sheriff?
Okay.
Yeah.
Item 47, discuss and possible action authorizing Sheriff Joe Frank Martinez to transfer $20,000 from the auto expense, and then has the account number, line item into the operating supplies, has its account number, line item.
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion, Commissioner Flores, second, Commissioner Wardlaw. All those in favor? 5-0 vote. Okay.
All right,
Is that
thank
it?
you. That was it, Judge.
Item 29, approval for precinct 1 to purchase flatbed crew cab in the amount of 7,500 from precinct 2.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion, Commissioner Flores, second, Commissioner Nettleton. All those in favor? 5-0 vote. Item 30, approval for fairgrounds to purchase SkyTrack in the amount of $12,500 from precinct 2.
We're gonna purchase that out of, we need money out of it.
We could wait, because we're fixing that, we should
Yeah.
try bringing that other money.
Yeah,
What do you want to do?
yeah. Well, like we were doing on the other, we had tabled,
Yeah, we can approve it and then just wait to bring the money
Yeah.
as we start it.
Would that be okay with you?
That'd be okay.
Motion to approve.
Second. Have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second, Commissioner Flores, to approve the transfer, and then it'll be paid as soon as we bring in some more funds. That work? Okay. All in favor? 5-0 vote. Approval to accept donation of 200 guardrails and posts from TxDOT to precinct 1.
Motion.
Second.
I thought they were gonna be for all prisoners. Wasn't that the idea?
200 guardrails, you ought to be able to put them on all your.
They can build a wall with them.
Do we want to just transfer it to the county and then y'all pick and choose as y'all need them, or do you need them all?
Whatever we got.
Do you need them all?
He wants them
That's your
all.
motion?
Yeah, he wants them all.
Hey,
So take them to the ranch.
I will share. Doesn't take a motion for me to share.
Okay, we have a motion, Commissioner
Mr.
Wardlaw.
Flores, he can have a question.
I'll second, Commissioner Vasquez. All those in favor? All those against? 5-0 vote. Item 32, approval to accept donation of a temporary storage site in Escondido Estates from Joe Jackson to precinct 1. The storage site will be used to store all pipeline equipment, water lines, construction equipment for the Escondido and Rancho del Rio water line project.
Motion.
Second.
A motion, Commissioner Wardlaw, second, Commissioner Nettleton. All those in favor?
Thank you. The
5-0
pipe will
vote.
arrive this afternoon, so it'll be there today.
It's already there.
It's already there. Like 6 months.
Item 33, approval. Approval for precinct 1 to donate 7 guardrails to the Casa de la Cultura for enhancement to the San Felipe Creek. Are you gonna do any posts or just the guardrail?
Posts. No, the poster said.
You do that even though they're a nonprofit
But what's the public purpose? And
to enhance the creek.
what's?
Make sure they don't drive off.
What do you mean enhanced?
So people don't drive off into the creek. They're gonna put them right there by the, so with people, they don't drive off in the creek.
Yeah, keep cars from.
Safety.
Well, they're gonna put them where?
Along the creek there by the,
And that belongs to the casa?
No, the property down at the bottom belongs to the city, I believe.
FEMA.
It's along the city line property.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then you're gonna have to coordinate with the city before you come.
So we couldn't just donate it to the Casa?
No.
You want to
It's not-
table it then?
It's not Casa's property.
Okay, it's Casa's property.
I thought you said it was.
It's their property along the city.
No?
No.
We're gonna table it, bring it back,
Table
get
it.
it up. Table Commissioner Wardlaw, second.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Vasquez, all those in favor? 5-0 vote. Give him the card.
Yeah, just give it to him.
Item 34, Valverde County Employee Handbook and Manual establishing daily lodging up to $260 per diem meals up to $59 in relation to the DWI Drug Specialty Court travel and training. Is the judge, no? These funds though, doesn't he have money? I mean, like he has money sitting aside other than the grant that he could take above.
But he
What-
would have to follow the county policy, and a grant requires you to follow county policy.
Well,
I thought we changed the policy the other, oh no, we only
There's
changed the process.
Item 48 on the agenda was what the court had approved back in March to make a change on the travel to 275 and 380. What the judge was asking, he's got the specialty court coordinator attending a training out of state, and the cost is more. He was wanting for the court to make an exception to what's going to be adopted and allow
So-
this. I guess it's reimbursable. I don't know.
So we could adopt this, that he's gonna do it, that way it's part of the policy, but those funds need to come out of the funds, other than what we adopted, need to come out of his budget.
But it doesn't say that it's gonna come out of anybody's budget. He just wants
To
permission.
change the policy.
No.
No, it's, I think what it is, it's just a temporary, it's for that trip only.
I had worded his agenda item different, where he was gonna come before the court and request an exception to what the court is gonna adopt on item 48 because of this travel. And I don't know if it's reimbursable, we thought it was.
Right.
But it-
Item for executive session, maybe?
No.
So we want to, can we go ahead and make a motion to let him spend this money as long as it comes out of his,
It is, the grant requires that he follow county policy. So you can make a motion to grant an exception to the policy.
I'll make a motion to grant an exception to the policy for this one trip for the DWI specialty court training.
and the money to come out?
And the money to
That's
come out
going
of
to be
his.
consistent with the budget. If there's no money in the budget, there's no money in the budget.
Yeah, he's got
funds.
He's got
Yeah,
funds.
he's got money in the DWI budget.
Excuse me, Judge, we did talk with the granting agency, and they said it must follow the established personnel policy, established.
So we can't do an exception.
We can roll the dice, if you want to roll the dice.
No, I'm not asking to roll the dice, I'm asking.
Either way, though, the only reason that the grant would come into place if they might reimburse, right?
I'm sorry, they might reimburse?
Yeah,
You're
because
correct.
if we're gonna spend this money, and then if they're gonna reimburse or might reimburse is where that would come in. But if they don't reimburse, he still has funds to go. Take a chance on maybe getting reimbursed, maybe not getting reimbursed.
There are funds to go, there are additional funds to
So I
be
mean,
used. However, if you do get audited, and we receive reimbursement for a higher amount than is allowed in our established personnel policy, that's the rub.
okay, but we're not even sure if we're gonna get reimbursed.
Okay, Judge, what's happening is that the DWI fund, the grant, they can spend money if it's consistent with county policy. So if they spend the money and it's not consistent with the county policy, then you're in violation of the grant.
Okay, the problem is though that we're talking, I guess I'm talking about two different things here.
Well, it's just, that's what Matt's talking about, right?
Yeah, well, and the policy, yeah, I
I
get
know, I
it.
was just asking Matt.
But he has funds, because we've been setting aside funds that should have been our funds in a different account,
What?
out of the $10,000.
They're funds that are set aside for this program, that are generated from this program for this program.
Okay, those are the funds he can go use without using grant money.
Correct.
Okay. Would you be okay with that, Commissioner?
I don't know, yeah. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Okay.
Why are we changing the policy on 48?
This was done back in March. You requested that we change the travel for lodging, and it went before the Policy Manual Committee in April, and I need to get it approved by the court so I can send out a revised manual.
Okay, all right. So this is independent of this, all right, all right, got it.
All right, motion, he can use money from this. Yeah, okay. Have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton. Second, Commissioner Vasquez. All those in favor? Aye. 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 5-0 vote. And talking on this DWI deal, there's some funds that we probably need to move over, at some point. Because when you look at our line item, that $10,000, it shows nothing, but there has been funds collected.
Correct.
So we need to bring it in.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, we can at whatever date
Well,
and whatever amount.
yeah. Well, I mean, we set aside $10,000, when you look at it, it's zero. When you look up the account, it shows like there's no movement. But
Correct.
There has
That
been
was supposed
funds
to be
collected, so we need to bring it.
No, the partial reimbursement for picking up that employee. I don't know what it was, correct?
Just
I don't know.
bring in the money.
Okay.
So
Thank you,
back
sir.
up 34,
Do what?
that was for item 34. Okay.
Item 35, list of households that are requesting to be served with water services from the Texas CDBG 7218026 Ridgeline Waterline Project that's authorized county judge to sign.
Motion to accept list of households that are requesting water services. I have the judge sign.
I have a motion, Commissioner Flores, second, Commissioner Nettleton. All those in favor? 5-0 vote. Aye. Item 36, Texas CDBG contract number 7218026 Ridgeline Waterline Project, draw number 8, requesting $2,822 for CASA KSA Engineers, Inc., for invoice number 75313, and authorize county judge and county auditor to sign.
Motion to approve draw number 8 and have the judge and auditor sign.
I have a motion, Commissioner Flores, second, Commissioner Nettleton. All those in favor? 5-0 vote. Mr. Muskis, update on Family Violence Center construction.
Judge, court, good morning.
It's done.
You don't know how much I wish that could be done. But anyway, just an update. We have purchased all that was approved on the last court. Field dirt has been delivered. I've spoken to Commissioner Vasquez and his foreman and gone over the grading, what we need to do to grade it, grading process. So they're going to start on Monday. Building maintenance has taken care of some of their duties, and we're going to meet this afternoon to kind of put get a schedule to where we can not get everybody working on top of each other and make it as smooth as possible. So that's really all I can report today.
What's going to happen with the old shelter?
We'll have to talk about it. There's been talk about moving the adult probation. That's something the court will have to agree to. That it?
That's it.
Any questions for Mr. Muskis? We're all good? We're going to go to item 38 then. Purchase by 63rd District Court on a desktop Optiplex computer and monitor at a price of $1,186.59 to be paid from office supplies account.
This computer it's on our list to be, we have a rotation system on
That's
it. This one is up in 2 years.
That is correct. That's what I was told by
RAM, and it's currently perfectly fine, it's working.
That is correct. It's out of cycle.
It's out of the
It'll be in
normal
its replacement cycle in 2 years, is what he was telling me.
So
So it's only 2 years old. The cycle is a 4-year cycle. So it's out of cycle. That was his comment.
Rand's comment.
Yes.
Motion to deny.
Motion to
deny.
Have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second by? Second, Commissioner Vasquez. All those in favor? 5-0 vote. Who?
Oh, Flores isn't here.
Oh, I'm sorry. When did he leave?
It's hard to see.
Oh, okay. 4-0 vote. Commissioner Flores is not here. I didn't see him leave. Somebody needs to say something. Okay.
Purchase by county court at law of a desktop Optiplex computer and monitor at a price of $1,186.59 to be paid out of office supplies account.
This computer is scheduled to be replaced
October
October
this year.
of this year.
But it completely crashed.
So it was scheduled to be replaced.
They've got a loaner, they can wait till October to do it. I mean, they
Do we
have
set
money.
aside money for this
Set aside
computer,
76,000, but
for the
it's
computer replacement
Yes.
deal? We've already spent it all?
He's gone through all 76,000 and he started working, and then this next budget, we've already set another 76,000.
It was a 3-year
Yeah.
conversion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's gone through this.
I didn't know if we had, they're showing office supplies, but I didn't know if we had the funds left. All right, motion to approve.
Have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton. Second, Commissioner Vasquez. All those in favor? 4-0 vote. Commissioner Flores is not here. Item number 40, purchase and schedule countywide document shredding service at a price of $507.60. Court to determine line item to be used for payment. We have some contingency money, and that would be countywide. Letters have already gone out. Janie's has already sent out.
You've already certified, well, and it can't be destroyed, Jimmy?
No, I have the requests. I have to respond to them.
All right,
Thank you
motion to
very
approve.
What does countywide mean?
Anybody in the
department.
county.
That works for the county.
That works for
Our
the
office.
county.
Do you already have a date for that?
No. Have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton. Monday?
You'll let us know.
Yes, of course. Second, Commissioner Wardlaw. All those in favor?
Right.
5-0 vote. Commissioner Flores is back.
I'm back. You're back. I'll be back.
41, declare the following items as surplus property and proper disposition. Disposition may, but not limited to, be auctioned, reassigned, recycled, and/or deconstruction.
Motion to approve.
Deconstruction.
Oh, sorry.
Have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton. Second. Second, Commissioner Wardlaw. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0 vote. Commissioner Flores is back.
I'm back.
Item 42, renewal of 2 Xerox copier contracts for Sheriff's Department.
These two were up for renewal. I provided the contracts, not the contracts, but the bids or the pricing.
Where?
You're looking at, I'm sorry?
Where are we getting money?
Xerox, and they're under the DIR contract.
Do we have money?
It should come out of his budget. Right? He pays it out of his budget, leases,
Well,
copy leases?
There's
We got money.
There's a line item for the leases. These new leases would increase by 170. Yeah, we need $700 more a year.
But he has money in his budget.
No, he does not.
He needs 700 more.
He just moved $20,000.
Okay, we'll use that one.
He needs somewhere in his budget.
Somewhere in his budget.
Somewhere in
Yeah,
his
yeah.
budget, He's got
yeah.
some money to cover it.
The computer
But these leases go into
lease,
effect
I mean,
now,
I'm sorry,
or?
the copier leases today are gonna be short for the next 4 months because we're increasing the lease.
So he needs to come back and move some money somewhere.
Yeah, you're looking at $170-something for the next 4 months.
But he has money in another account. He has money.
There's
He has
several
money.
accounts where there's money located.
No. Judge,
So
are you
just wanted to
asking
make that- Okay.
that he has money in that account?
No, he doesn't. We've already
Not in
established
that.
there's no money in that
So you're
account,
gonna
but there's
want a
money in
budget
other
adjustment?
accounts.
Okay. We can come back to the budget adjustment.
That work?
Decide.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve.
The leases.
Okay.
He's still got we gotta have a budget amendment line item, but we'll discuss that.
Commissioner Nettleton, have a motion. Commissioner Flores had a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0 vote. Item 43. Are you here still? Inform the County Commissioners Court the application has been submitted for Vietnam War Traveling Memorial Wall. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. The Veteran Service Officer, Mr. Adrian Vitela, he wants to bring the Vietnam traveling wall to Del Rio. He says that the mission is to enhance pride and patriotism in Valverde County by building a stronger and more supportive community around our veterans, honoring our heroes and remembering our fallen and celebrating our freedom. We submitted the application and it was successfully submitted on May 28th. So we'll see what.
Do we need
what comes
to
out
do
of that.
anything? Y'all need
Well, with
funding
that, we would
or?
have to raise up to $10,000 to bring the wall over here. So.
So once you get approval, then you'll let us know?
Yes,
what-
sir. And Mr. Vital, I'm sure will have more details.
One of the things on this, they wanted a place to put it. I visited with Dr. Rios at the school. One of the locations was the 7th, 8th grade, the football field. And he said that if we get closer to a date, that he may need to take it to a school board,
Mhm.
but that he didn't think it'd be a problem.
And I think they're wanting to do this sometime in 2020. Thank you.
So if y'all need money, you'll come back and visit with us about it. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Item 44, the use of 60 acres by Greg Martinez from June to August on Sundays from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. for his adult flag football league. All funds collected from the adult flag football league would help with the cost of youth football league.
Motion.
Motion Commissioner Wardlaw, second.
Second.
Second Commissioner Vasquez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0 vote. Commissioner Nettleton has left the building. Item 45, changing the position of park superintendent to crew leader with a base pay of $30,000.
Were y'all gonna do that, or were y'all gonna, I thought y'all were gonna add something to that, to the 30,000, the days that he was there. Is that the same position?
No, that's another.
So, okay.
Who are we talking about here?
It's reclassifying the parks superintendent position to a crew leader.
Okay. Who was in that position?
And that's
Jorge Escamilla.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. You're moving him to crew leader at a base pay of 30,000, but that's what he was making when he was moved up.
No, sir, he was moved to, maintenance worker.
Maintenance. That's going to be in the human resources report. He's changed positions.
Okay, yeah.
He's been moved to the maintenance position that was vacant.
Okay, but what was he making at the maintenance position?
It's in the human resources report.
Y'all were gonna give him a raise, right, compared to what
Yes.
he was making? Okay, not a problem, that's my only question, we're
It's
good.
on- it's on the report.
That'll work.
Changing the position. Have a motion? Have a motion?
So you're giving him a raise? Is that
No,
what you're doing?
no, sir, he's being moved somewhere else.
Okay.
You're just, the position where he was at, you're gonna reclassify it and go to a $30,000 base. Correct.
Okay, motion approved.
A motion, Commissioner Vasquez, second. Second, Commissioner Nettleton, all those in favor? 5-0 vote. Approval of a fuel card for a new maintenance position, it's at, County Extension Office for Oman, I think.
We didn't have one already?
Well, it might have been for the other guy, was in it. So,
Okay, motion approved.
have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, seconded by, second Commissioner Vasquez, all those in favor? 5-0 vote. Item 47, we've done. Item 48, adopting the revised travel policy, section 2.17, paragraph 5, lodging expense.
I think at some point, we're gonna have to relook at this 150.
We didn't.
Maybe not now.
Commissioner Nettleton, we changed it, and I think the court adopted it.
Well, we changed it strictly for Austin and Washington to 380, but at some point, it's getting real hard to find a room anywhere in the state of Texas for $150.
No,
At some point, we need to address it.
90% of our seminars are in Austin.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't do it.
Motion to approve.
Second. Have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second Commissioner Vasquez, all those in favor?
Right.
5-0 vote. Item 49, HR monthly report from May 16th, 2019 through May 29th, 2019.
All in compliance?
Yes, sir.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second Commissioner Wardlaw, all those in favor? 5-0 vote, I think.
Yes. Ay, 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 ay.
Okay. Item 50. That one there was, I messed up, so it doesn't, we'd already done that last week, or 2 meetings ago, so we don't need any action on 50.
You can create another one.
No, we're good. Thank you. Item 51, closed session consultation pursuant to Texas Government Code A 551.071, parentheses 1, contemplated litigation, B 551.071, parentheses 2, attorney-client privilege, and C 551.072, the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. The
take a 5-minute break and go into executive session, 11 o'clock.
Putting together a consortium to buy those properties.
All right.
I just bombarded it.
I want in on it.
Back on.
Should have never come back.
I want in on it.
I thought we were buying.
For that kind of money, I can get a park.
Call this meeting back to order. It is 11:20. We are going to go back to. We're going to go back to item 19. Setting aside funds for asylum seekers or information.
I mean, I don't want to spend taxpayers' money to support them. I would like us to at least ship them out of here, but currently, I guess the busing system has got resolved, but the problem is going to be that when the groups that are helping them leave here in a couple of weeks or a month, then we're not going to have anything.
Yes. And I think we're scheduled in 2 weeks for the Salvation Army to move out.
Judge, is there any way that we could lease a bus on a monthly basis until we find the way of fixing this, or or Washington or whoever?
I think Valley is paying to ship them straight out.
300, but their deal is that they already pay like $200,000 into this transit system for a year.
Okay.
So the 300 that they're paying is really nothing, but they belong to Sport, I think, the transit system. So
it would cost us a lot more than that.
Maybe we can find somebody who'll donate a bus to us, or lend us a bus.
The problem's going to be is if we don't know when they're released, you're still going to have to figure out something to do with them until you can get them on a bus.
No, and that's the problem that they've had. We've had, during the day, it's not a problem. You can get enough buses, you can do all that. It's the afternoon when they turn loose, at 5:30, 6 o'clock. There's nothing, it's just too late in the afternoon to get something done. And that's who they're trying to put up the night. That way they're not wandering our streets. And that's the problem that we're having is if we set up a bus to run late at night, purchase a bus or whatever, that might be a relief. But, when you had the days that they released, 100 and some odd people, that just got difficult. Yeah, that got difficult. And like Mr. Salinas said, this is pretty much going to be the norm. I mean, this is it. The sheriff back there, I think on that Saturday and Sunday when they were releasing, everybody was texting and screaming and hollering that how come we hadn't done anything, we'd had a plan in place, it was thrown on our lap and that was our fault. Now we needed to deal with it, and the coalition, the way they dealt with it, I mean, they started hollering them to different churches, and then they asked the city for the Chihuahua Center, and that's where they're being put now. They were able to get showers brought in, and you're going to have both sides, from one side that why are we doing anything to you need to take care of them better. The fact of the matter is that we can all agree that they don't want to be here, and we don't want them here, but we damn sure don't want them on our streets. And with all the health risks and all the health problems that they might bring, I mean, that's just something else added to the plate. So, we're going to have to come to some type of agreement or something on how we're going to handle this, as far as either we're going to set aside some money in case we need to help pay for the individual's food or whatever, because again, we don't want them out on the street. And as sad as it is, it's our problem. It's no one else's problem but ours.
I agree, and unfortunately, there's no way to work out with the federal government the release time so that we can get them straight to an existing bus. That appears to be impossible because the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing over there. And I don't know if it'd do any good to sit down with them and try to work that out.
We've had, Roland has gone to go talk to them, and the problem that they're having too is as they're being brought in, I think we had 110 37 or something like that also flown in a couple times. And this sector is the only one, what I've been told is it takes care of kids or whatever. So, I mean, we're getting them not only from here, but we're getting them from everywhere else.
As I understand, they're flying them into the base from the Rio Grande Valley and then bringing them in, doing the paperwork, and then releasing them into the community.
Yeah.
And we didn't get any help from the state either.
The state, we asked them yesterday if they would help with testing them or doing medical evaluations or whatever, or if we did it, if we could get reimbursed. And STAR, the people we visited with STAR, said that they were instructed not to help anything. They were instructed not to help.
Sheriff.
Yes.
We have a coalition, y'all have a coalition of border sheriffs, right?
Yes.
What if all of the counties along the border declared a declaration of disaster with the coalition and asked for help from the state to see if we can get something more permanent?
I'll bring it up to the, to both chairmen, Sheriff Eddie Guerra out of McAllen and Sheriff Leon Wilmont out of Yuma, Arizona.
We have the authority to do it, and Tom and Roland right now are looking at the thresholds and what that would accomplish by doing it. So I should have something before the week's out.
I would suggest we get all of the judges up and down the border and do it.
And they talked to Eagle Pass, basically the Middle Rio Grande. There's letters going back and forth because that's being considered right now, to where you have a group.
Yeah, I think we all need to join together, all the border communities, and work together to come up with a more long-term solution of how we're going to deal with this. As a coalition, I think it's going to work better than each individual county doing something, and maybe between the coalition of the judges and the Border Sheriff's Organization, maybe come up with a more stable plan, because you're right, this is something we're going to deal with for a long, long time, and we've got to come up with a more stable plan. But each individual county doing something is not going to work. We have to do it together. So
Roland and Tom have been visiting with the judges to see if we can have a meeting, get together, and to where we can, and we have been going back with templates on letters that we're sending to Cornyn and Will Hurd and Cruz and everybody else. But the letters really.
And then I think at some point, you know, I mean, if Washington doesn't get the message, then I think at some point we need to put them on a bus and drop them off at the Capitol in Washington.
I do have two ladies that they've said that they could probably come up with over $20,000 if they were guaranteed we'd haul them to the Capitol.
And I think if you send that message and send 4, 5, or 6 or 7 busloads at a time up there, they will start getting the message very quickly. And that's the only way we're going to get their attention, because it is very apparent we're not going to get their attention any other way.
Okay. I will probably more likely be visiting with both chairman of each coalition tomorrow, along with executive director. And I'll put it out there, and hopefully we can get the ball rolling.
Well, our letters are going to go out. They're visiting right now to see if we can have a meeting, because we're all having the same problem. Uvalde said that they're only going to do it for 30 days, and then they're going to quit. The problem is that they're thinking they're going to do it for 30 days, but when you start dropping people off at the Smart Center or whatever, the transportation yard, it's going to get their attention.
Maybe we can host the judges and the deal here in Del Rio, and maybe bring the city or whoever else and start having a bigger conversation. It has to be a large group. Individual counties trying to do this is not going to send a message as a large group is going to send a message.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. And we've been trying to get everybody on the same page, but they're all dealing with the problem. And you know, like, well, where are we going to meet? I can't go that day. I mean, but it's one of those deals right now, though, that maybe now that they're having more problems and there's more people being turned loose, maybe they'll be.
And even if we have to host it in Del Rio, rent the Civic Center or whatever, and host it here, I don't care if it's something. But I think it has to be a coalition.
I'll have you some word tomorrow afternoon.
And we'll reach out to the county judges again and the mayors, at least to the people in our cog.
And you said we had how long before,
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So if we have to call an emergency meeting, we can do that. Okay.
Yeah, and we're going to have to give it some thought, because it's coming. I mean, it's one of those deals, we're gonna have to set aside some money in order to help this. I mean, and we're gonna get heat from the citizens that why are we doing it? Well, the reason we think about this is because we don't want these individuals to be turned loose in our community. I mean,
No, I agree.
It's an investment in the security of our community.
No, I totally agree with you. I don't want to spend a penny on this, but I think we're being forced to. But I think in the process, we need to send a message to Washington. And I'm not so sure we don't need to sue them to try to get our money back. Because they created this mess and we're dealing with it. And I agree with the community. I don't think we should spend a penny, but we have to do something or they're going to be breaking in our homes. They're going to be tearing up our cars. They're going to be, you know, I mean, we've got a huge problem with the sex trafficking and all the other issues that are going on, and we have to do what we have to do to secure our community.
and just the screening, I mean, some of the diseases that they're bringing, you know, let's be realistic, it's third world country.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we have, you know, I did bring up the Congo, we were told about it yesterday, the people, I mean, Jesus Christ.
No, I mean, they are creating a disaster that I don't even think they realize when some of these diseases get in here that we're not going to be able to deal with. You know, so. And that's the only way I know how to handle it.
Well,
I mean,
let's, if you'll get with your people, we'll make sure if we can set something up, and if we have to call a special meeting, we'll just go do that.
Okay.
Does that work?
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Do we need anything on the property, or we just give me authority to go?
Yeah. Didn't we table something?
Yeah, we tabled the property, we'll bring back on item 32. So I just need authority to see if we can negotiate on a property. On 22, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion to authorize the judge to have authority to negotiate on property.
I have a motion, Commissioner Nettleton, second Commissioner Flores, all those in favor?
Aye.
5-0 vote. Did we table anything else?
I don't think that we did.
There was.
16? But we were gonna rewrite the.
Yes,
the
order. It'll need to be brought back.
Yeah.
Is that it? You keep on. Yeah, that one's tabled for the next meeting. Is that it? Let's see where we're at. Commissioners' comments?
I don't think I've said enough today.
County judges' comments? None. Meeting's adjourned, 11:30.